My beloved, for a long time, you have been afraid to reveal your weaknesses because some people have taken advantage of them or your kindness. Because of this, you have strived to maintain a strong image. However, I want you to understand that within your weaknesses lie your greatest strengths. It all depends on the attitude with which you present yourself to the world. Anything can be perceived as a strength or a weakness. With the right attitude, you can show your strength to the world, even in moments of weakness. Staying strong within yourself will enable you to overcome any obstacle. The first step is to identify your weaknesses. What you see as a weakness is actually something you simply need to work on. Although it may be hard to believe right now, the greatest strengths can emerge from the greatest weaknesses. For example, you might have feared loneliness deeply. That fear led you to stay around people who didn't treat you well or respect you. But through that situation, you realized that you should seek what you need within yourself, not in others. What seemed like a weakness led you to the path of self-love. That weakness helped you rebuild your self-esteem and rise stronger than ever. Identify your weaknesses, those things that make you feel insecure and vulnerable, because within them, you'll find your most valuable qualities. Recognizing your weakness doesn't mean being vulnerable, it means being honest with yourself. Only by being honest with yourself can you change what needs to be changed. Even if you sometimes feel inferior to others, remember that every human being faces weaknesses and challenges throughout their life. However, only those who acknowledge them can overcome them. It takes courage to face your weaknesses, but it is only through that courage that you can reveal your true strengths. In truth, your greatest strength lies in your ability to face your weaknesses and learn from them, to overcome them. It is far braver to confront your weaknesses than to hide them. Therefore, when you show your weakness to the world, you are actually demonstrating your strength, because you are showing bravery and courage. Not everyone has the courage to ask for help when they need it or the valor to acknowledge their mistakes when they make them. But those who do develop great strength, evolve, grow, and rise. What you think makes you weak is actually an opportunity to become stronger and better. Remember that every time you interact with someone, you reveal a part of yourself. There are many things you can control and decide whether to show or not. When you know there is something you need to improve or overcome, you have two ways to present it to the world. The first is to present it as a weakness, as something negative about yourself or something that embarrasses you. The second way is to show it as a challenge, as something that inspires you to be better and bring out the best in yourself. When you choose this approach, instead of appearing weak, you present yourself as someone strong, as someone who fights to overcome their battles. Anyone can complain and lament about what happens, but only awakened souls and minds strive to overcome it. Moreover, when you share a bit of your vulnerability with others, you are empathizing with them. Now and before we continue, I invite you to subscribe and share our channel. Your support helps us to create more valuable content for you. In other words, you are showing yourself honestly and, in doing so, inspiring others with your story and your ability to overcome challenges. If you never acknowledge what you need to improve, you might be perceived as vain or even selfish. Therefore, it's important to understand that true strength does not lie in hiding your weaknesses. On the contrary, your true strength lies in your ability to work on those weaknesses and extract something positive from them. It's like manifesting the power to transform the negative into the positive. That's why you shouldn't present what happens to you as a weakness, but rather as a strength. Weaknesses are behaviors or thoughts that harm you in some way or hinder your progress. There are as many weaknesses as there are beings in the universe. The key here is to learn to view weaknesses not as shortcomings, but as qualities. In other words, weaknesses exist for a reason. They are there for you to overcome. As you do, you become stronger. So what you show the world is actually a strength, not a weakness. I understand that inside, you may have vulnerable points you've tried to hide. But it's important to reflect on how far you've come while trying to conceal those weaknesses. While hiding them, you couldn't overcome or improve them, nor could you free yourself from that burden. On the other hand, when you face them, you activate all your power and ability to overcome. I know it may be hard to understand, but a weakness is truly an opportunity to develop a strength or power. It's also important to consider that things are not always entirely positive or negative. It all depends on the context. Depending on the situation you're in, a quality can be seen as either positive or negative. For example, if you're a very talkative person, this can be a strength in a meeting with many people because you entertain everyone with your stories. However, that same strength can become a weakness if you find yourself in a situation where you need to listen more than speak, such as when you're with a trusted friend who has a problem and needs to be heard. The same trait can be a strength or a weakness depending on the situation. Your goal should be to turn all your traits into strengths. To help you understand this better, I want to share a story that will connect you with this message. It's not just any story, it's one that the Apostle Paul himself wrote to the Corinthians, a revelation he received from the Lord. Paul was taken up to the third heaven and heard words that were not permitted to be expressed by human beings. After that, Paul felt an intense pain within him, a great affliction. It was what he called a thorn in the flesh. This thorn, this pain, caused him discomfort and difficulties all the time. Paul asked God 3 times to remove that pain. But God responded with something very important and revealing. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. In other words, the more Paul felt weak from that pain, the more intensely the Lord would help him. And so, Paul understood that instead of lamenting his weaknesses, he should feel grateful, because he knew that God was by his side, giving him strength to move forward. Paul realized that in times of weakness, need, and distress, he could see God's intervention in his life, and he could be strong with God. This was a profound revelation because Paul learned to trust God more, understanding that even when facing problems, God was with him. He realized that difficulties can be moments to turn to God for strength. The words Paul wrote to the Corinthians are found in 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, verses 9 to 10, and they say, "But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." These words will help you understand that when you face problems or simply feel weak, God is with you. When something worries you, God is with you. So, instead of worrying too much in those moments, you can change your attitude. You can remember that these moments are opportunities to trust in God, to seek His help. Now, your strength will be tested, my beloved, and it's time to talk to God, to tell Him how you feel and what worries you. It's time to ask for His strength. If you feel weak, He will be your greatest strength. This will be an opportunity to understand that God can assist you in unimaginable ways. Now I ask you, are you willing to tune your mind to the melody of success and allow prosperity to flow to you? Today, I have left in the description a powerful tool that will help you and bring you closer to your happiness, peace, and tranquility. I invite you to get to know it. Open the doors to a future where success and prosperity are your daily reality. The opportunity you have today to change your life will never present itself in the same way again. Act today, go for the description and create the tomorrow you deserve. Blessings forever.